Welcome everyone to Monday Morning Morons for April 22nd, 2019. I apologize for no video last week. I was on vacation actually, so I just wasn't following the news at all. But we're back now, so let's begin with how to carefully craft a narrative. California City tests Universal Basic Income program ahead of 2020. Now, here's the thing. We can spin this however we like, but the simple fact remains. UBI is nothing more than giving people other people's money. And the inevitable problem with such a system is pretty obvious. Sooner or later, you're going to run out of other people's money. Now that we got the basic problem out of the way, let's discuss the problem with Stockton's supposed example. Things I'm pretty damn sure they are not going to mention when this subject comes up. The city of Stockton, California, which launched a Universal Basic Income pilot program earlier this year, will listen to stories from a select group of recipients of the no strings attached cash by the end of April, adding tangible anecdotes to the national political conversation on income inequality ahead of 2020. You can already see the warning light, can't you? Select group of recipients. Not all recipients. This is step one of crafting a narrative. Choose to tell only the stories that support your predetermined conclusion. We are only going to hear the compelling, heartbreaking, emotional stories of those who supposedly succeeded or achieved something through this program. We are not going to hear about the complete waste of money and lack of any achievement for the rest. That's narrative, not truth. The Stockton Economic Empowerment Demonstration, a pilot program on universal basic income, launched in February, the Los Angeles Times reported. Over 100 residents from the city's lower income neighborhoods will be administered $500 a month via debit cards for the next year and a half. The money comes without any restrictions, such as requiring recipients to be employed or maintain sobriety. Head of Stockton's program, Suki Samra, told the Los Angeles Times that 25 participants dubbed storytellers will offer their experience on how the extra monthly cash has contributed to their lives. While data from the program's research findings won't be available until 2021, Samra expects anecdotes to resonate more with voters who could hear the potential effects of their political decisions. Yeah, Samra wants stories and feelings to direct the conversation, not facts. What a surprise. Stockton became the first to move ahead on a universal income pilot, as other U.S. cities, including Newark, New Jersey, and Chicago, consider similar programs that would deal out monthly payments to struggling residents. Programs in Canada and Finland were scrapped for being unsustainable. Gosh, if only we had some idea what happens when we try this stuff. Oh, look! We do have examples, but fuck those guys, it didn't work, so clearly they did it wrong. Stockton received $1 million in initial funding for the $3.1 million program from the Silicon Valley-based organization, the Economic Security Project. Further research should reveal how basic income programs could be sustained by local or federal governments on a more permanent basis. Good. I'm glad you mentioned that because it's quite pertinent to the upcoming conversations we're about to hear. First, let's talk numbers for just a second. And feel free to correct me if my math is wrong, but we've got 100 people getting $500 a month for 18 months. That's our pilot program as described here. So crunch the numbers and you get a cost of $900,000. $1 million was donated by Silicon Valley. Uh-oh, where'd the other $100,000 go? Now I'll be generous here and just assume that's the cost of administering the program and not assume that you pocketed that for yourself. So you've already lost 10% of the initial investment. Now then, we don't know because they haven't studied the results yet, but what do you suppose are the chances that these 100 people managed to create more than $1 million in new money, assets, savings, or some other measurable economic benefit? It's possible, but rather unlikely, so you can already see this is not going to be sustainable without continued donations. Which brings me to my primary point. What we're about to hear from this will be a carefully crafted narrative that socialism works. It's glorious and everyone benefits. Hooray! Yes, I know. Straw man! I know. And it is for now. But it won't be when these dolts start saying exactly that. So just wait for it. The problem with such a conclusion is This isn't socialism. You've taken a donation of money, generated and accumulated by capitalism, by the way, and doled it out to the people you chose to give it to. That's not socialism. That's called charity. That's really all you've done here. No different than any other charity. So remember that when they start using this to tell us socialism works. This isn't socialism. It's capitalist charity. Now then, what's next, Bob? Rutgers professor. Even the concept of time is racist. Jesus Christ. One of the privileges of being a tenured professor in the field of studies is that you can make up crap out of thin air, and majors in the field, fellow faculty, and progressive media will all go, ooh, in amazement. Well, that's true. Rutgers University Brittany Cooper is a master at this. The associate professor of women's and gender studies and Africana studies, who once opined that Jesus was potentially queer or was married to a prostitute, called black city officials she did not like white supremacists in blackface, and had nothing but words of the four-letter variety after the U.S. Supreme Court allowed for religious exemptions to the Obamacare contraceptive mandate, now says that the very concept of time itself is racially biased. In an interview with NPR last week, Cooper said that the way we position ourselves in relationship to time comes out of histories of European and Western thought. In other words, white people own time. What? I mean, I see words there, but those words, strung together as you have, don't make any sense. For starters, how does one position oneself in relationship to time? I exist in time. I didn't choose that. I have no control over that in any way. Time exists, and so do I. That's literally all there is to it. Maybe she'll explain. Time has a history, and so do black people, but we treat time as though it is timeless, as though it has always been this way, as though it doesn't have a political history bound up with the plunder of indigenous lands, the genocide of indigenous people, and the stealing of Africans from their homeland. When white male European philosophers first thought to conceptualize time and history, one famously declared Africa is no historical part of the world. He has, essentially, saying that Africans were people outside of history who had had no impact on time or the march of progress. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. There's a lot of crazy to unpack there. One thing at a time. Time has a history, and so do black people. Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. Can't argue with that. Time does indeed have a history, and black people exist in time, so yeah, they have a history too. How enlightening. But we treat time as though it is timeless. Define we in this context. Who is we? Because other than you, I have literally never heard anyone else say that complete nonsense. As though it has always been this way. It has. Literally. Time has always been exactly as it is right now. Steadily marching forward, one moment after the next, and absolutely nothing we do will ever change that. Unless you want to expand this discussion into the more obscure theoretical physics of people like Stephen Hawking's. I mean, we can do that, but I'm certainly no expert on the subject, and based on your statement here, I'm not entirely sure you could even understand those concepts. So we should probably avoid that. For the layman, like most of us, time is quite literally exactly the same now as it always has been. Linear and unstoppable. As though it doesn't have a political history bound up with the plunder of indigenous lands, the genocide of indigenous people, and the stealing of Africans from their homeland. Yeah. This is called history. Now, I don't know, maybe you're not actually aware of this, but history does not exist outside of time. In fact, it has a very specific residency in time called the past. So up till now, what you've said is, time exists, but time is different because history happened. That's quite possibly the most stupid thing I've ever had the misfortune of reading. Okay, look, when I first saw the title of this article, I laughed. You pretty much have to. It's just that absurd. But I decided to dig in anyway and see if maybe there was some sort of argument here. Some thread that I could at least follow and refute. I even followed the link to the original NPR interview to make sure you were not misquoted and you actually said this shit. But at this point, I can't go any further. I can't take you seriously. If you can, with a straight face, sit there and say something this utterly fucking stupid, then I'm very sorry, but it is not worth the time or effort to even listen to you, much less point out where you're wrong. You are a joke. You're either insane or the most remarkably stupid person I've ever seen. At this point, you're actually making AOC look smart by comparison. I never thought that would be possible. Get me the hell out of here, Bob. Give us some good old-fashioned toxic masculinity. Texas woman allegedly attacks husband after getting silence when she asked if she's pretty. Girls will be girls, right? A woman in Texas allegedly assaulted her common-law husband after he didn't respond when she asked if she was pretty. Lizeth Guadalupe Ramirez, 20, was arrested late Tuesday after the alleged incident, the Laredo Morning Times reported, citing police. She allegedly told investigators the man assaulted her and tried to strangle her. Believe women! She's the victim now because she said so. Ramirez was arrested after she allegedly assaulted her husband for not responding when she asked if she was pretty. However, the common-law husband reportedly told a different story, telling police the couple was at a movie theater when she asked if she looked pretty. Ramirez's husband said he didn't respond, as he didn't hear her, which upset Ramirez and prompted them to leave the theater. Oh, sure, he didn't hear her. A likely excuse. Besides, he assaulted her. She said so. What's he say about that? Did you even ask him? During their ride home, Ramirez's husband claimed she hit him repeatedly. At their home, she allegedly continued to hit him and even assaulted a family member who tried to intervene, according to the news outlet. Well, shit. The patriarchy has a witness to back him up now. Fucking misogynists. Ramirez was charged with 2 counts of assault and family violence, online Webb County jail records indicated. Well, to no one's surprise, that toxic bastard gets off scot-free because it's a man's world and we hate women. Just hate them. We're kind of short, Bob. Let's do another one. A bonus dose of toxic masculinity this week. Why not? Louisiana woman beat boyfriend with prosthetic leg after he tried to break up. You go, girl. Fucking entitled man deserved it. No one has a right to refuse a relationship with you. A New Orleans area woman who beat up her ex-boyfriend with his own prosthetic leg earlier this year because he tried to break up with her was arrested last Wednesday, police said. On February 11th, Michelle Jackson, 58, was drinking with her now ex-boyfriend when he told her he wanted to see someone else, Captain Jason Rivard said. The man went to sleep without incident, but awoke the next morning with an injured hand and a large cut on his head that was dripping blood, the Times reported. And that didn't wake him up? Okay. Bob says that she might have hit him so hard that she knocked him unconscious. A bit odd, but possible, I guess. Jackson, who had left before authorities arrived, allegedly told a relative she had beat the man with his prosthetic leg and thought she had killed him. The woman allegedly told police that she had stabbed him, but Rivard said there was no evidence. Oh, wait, so she says she stabbed him, but he wasn't stabbed? Weird. U.S. Marshals arrested Jackson in her home Wednesday, New Orleans Fox 8 reported. She was booked into the Jefferson Parish Correctional Center on an aggravated battery charge without bond, the report said. Okay, so I feel like there's more to this story. There just has to be. I mean, this is just a sort of so-and-so was arrested for such and such kind of story, but I've already got 2 things that don't seem to make much sense. There's just got to be something else going on here that we haven't heard. I guess we'll have to wait till trial to get answers. But in the meantime, they've clearly locked up the wrong person. Fucking male privilege. He should be the one behind bars for having the audacity to try to break up a relationship. If she wants a relationship, then by George, she should fucking get it. But no, America is a damn patriarchy, so men get the privilege of deciding who they want to spend their time with. Disgusting. We should absolutely fix that with some more equality for women. Okay, give us something funny to wrap it up, Bob. Homeowner sets up naked mannequins in yard to taunt neighbor following fence dispute. A California man who was forced to shorten his fence over a neighbor's complaints got the perfect revenge by setting up a garden party of nude mannequins that is now in full view of the next door home. Jason Windus of Santa Rosa said he built the tall fence to keep his dogs in his yard, but after a neighbor complained, the city forced him to reduce the height of the fence or face a fine. Yeah, $20 says the first time your dogs jump the fence and runs around the neighborhood, they'll bitch about that too. Windus chopped it to the maximum 36 inches and then set up 5 naked mannequins, with some standing and others seated on chairs in his yard. I don't know who it is, and I'm sure they're not going to come forward, Windus told the news outlet of the protesting neighbor. And even if they do, this is just a statement for them. Maybe mind your own business a little bit. Windus, the owner of a moving company, had amassed the mannequins after cleaning out a clothing store. I couldn't bring myself to throw them away. I was going to just use them for target practice, Windus said of the mannequins. Windus set up the In the Buff life-size dolls around a table with a mannequin's severed head on it in the yard and put up a sign that reads, "Reserved seat for the nosy neighbor that complained about my fence to the city." Troll level 10 unlocked. Nicely done, Jason. A little lesson for all you nosy busybodies out there. If they're not hurting anyone, maybe leave your neighbors alone and mind your own damn business. Maybe you don't actually want to see what's going on behind that fence, huh? That's it for this week. Remember the social justice mantra: women are victims, men are oppressors, and feminism is just about equality. I'll see you all next time.